Welcome to hour number 2 of Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV Big Fox. I'm your host, Frank Acomb. We are broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio, and in that studio we have former Congressman, current Assemblyman, current chair of the Steuben County GOP, Joe Sempolinski. Good morning, Joe.
Frank, good to see you. It's been approximately 12 hours since I last saw Frank.
I know.
Because we were at a Steuben County Republican Committee meeting.
Yes.
Last night.
So late.
And
you guys are like rock stars.
We were up to like 7 o'clock. It was almost dinner time by the time we were done.
Bedtime, more like it. All right, we got a couple comments from viewers. Jack says, good morning, Frank. Well, good morning, Jack. Handing out checks for health insurance, unless these checks are specifically targeted towards health insurance companies, they're going to be spending it on anything but health insurance. I think it's a health savings account. Comment from a different viewer. Morning, Frank. Well, geez. Good morning. We've seen this before in New York State where a Republican will run just to help his buddy Democrats. Blakeman is one of these phonies designed to steal votes from Stefanik to help the tyrant Hochul. Hold off. And then finally, in the comment section, good morning, Frank. Climate Fact Friday, Bob here. Thank you for all your comments on climate change. This just amplifies what we've been saying all along, that this is massive hysteria over climate change. It's just another way to try to control the masses. Oh, and by the way, it's so cold this morning. I saw another Democrat with his hands in his own pocket. Have a great day. Thank you. Okay, one quick thing, Joe. Listen to this.
All right.
Corning, where you just entered with the beautiful lights.
I am in the Crystal City right now, yeah.
Just earned the number 6 spot on the list of America's 13 top Christmas communities, sharing space with other Hallmark movie-worthy holiday communities.
Well, I agree with that.
Yeah, me too.
It's funny that you mentioned that, because I grew up in the town of Irwin, a town you're very familiar with, on the board out there. So that's my hometown, is the town of Irwin. And so I've spent a lot of time in Corning. And I'm a former resident of Corning, when I was a young staffer. And I was driving down Market Street, and I was just thinking to myself, as I was driving to the Palatial Studios, that, how beautiful Market Street is with the lights on the trees. Nice? And I have very fond memories of my mother, when I was a little boy, taking me to Sparkle.
Of course.
And so I think, there's a lot of wonderful communities out there that do a lot of wonderful things for Christmas. Santa Claus Lane is a big thing in Olean they do. But Corning's up there with, they can hang with anybody as far as what they do for Christmas season.
I don't know the name of it. Somebody told me there's so many Christmas movies, but there's one that's based in Corning. Oh, now they show some aerial views like Little Joe's in it and things like that. Oh, no, but there's no filming here.
Well, there's a lot of talk that Bedford Falls and It's Wonderful Life is based on Seneca Falls. Yeah. And they really lean into that.
And that's why in A Wonderful Life they mention Elmira.
That's right, because the bank examiner had to get home to his family in Elmira. A little Christmas trivia here.
I know. Look at this.
Very good.
First of all, before we get into it, because I have to mention this, because I have a new litmus test on the program.
Oh.
What's your favorite font?
My favorite what?
Font.
Oh, Times New Roman, man.
Okay, good. All right.
Yeah.
I didn't want to have to cancel
anything other than Times New Roman.
Okay. All right. Whew, we got through that. All right. As you know, I normally have a list of questions, just because I don't want to forget things while you're here, and I know your time's precious, so I normally come with a list. I came up with one that's not as extensive as normal. That's the list.
Blake.
I'm going with props now, Joe.
I have some commentary on this.
Okay.
Yeah. And just for context with everybody, I have endorsed Elise Stefanik for governor.
We read that yesterday. It was really nice when she shared it.
Yes.
It was good.
And she's done that a couple times.
And you had one on the piggyback on that.
Yeah. So when I first put out the endorsement, she retweeted, "Thanks, Joe," which is cool. Yeah. I like that. Yeah. And then when I re-upped it, when she was sort of having people that had endorsed her publicly who were either party chairman or state elected officials, and I'm in both buckets, she was reposting new statements reaffirming that endorsement in anticipation of Blakeman getting in the race. And one of her staff affiliated accounts, called me, had some very complimentary things to say about me. So I have a really good relationship with Elise. I didn't endorse her because of that. I endorsed her because I think she's the best
she's the right person
to win.
Yeah.
And I was greatly hoping that we would avoid a primary. And
it sounds like Trump was too.
That's what the reports are, that he was sort of being nice to him and saying, "Hey, do you really?"
Well, because I was saying before he came in, that's the whole Trump meeting when we tried to convince. You weren't there, but the group of us tried to convince Trump to run for governor. That's all he said. I just don't want a primary.
Right.
And I'll run.
Right.
So he's lived
That's been his
this.
position for several cycles.
Yeah.
Whether it was him or anybody else. And my understanding is, and is the president's in a tough position. President's a nice guy. President's loyal to his friends, and as he has stated, he's friendly with both these people. But there are media reports that are saying, he was trying to sort of tell Bruce, what are you thinking? And frankly, Elise has dramatically more money. She's got a national profile where the county executive sort of has a regional profile. He's coming off an election where he's spent down all his funds. I'm not saying that, I don't want to bash the guy personally, but I don't know what he's thinking as far as getting in the race when clearly there is so much unified support. Put it in context. Congresswoman Stefanik, she's got nearly all of the county Republican chair people.
I think it's 50 out of 62.
Yeah, 58. I think.
Yeah, 58.
I think it's 58.
That's what 2 days ago.
Yeah, that's where it was. So we're almost unanimous. Yeah. Every Republican Assembly person, other than the ones that represent Nassau and Suffolk on Long Island, have endorsed Elise. That's upstate and the city and Hudson Valley and parts of downstate. So it's not just, this isn't an upstate versus downstate thing. She has a lot of downstate support. She has the majority of the state senators. She has every county executive that's a Republican north of the city. This is really broad support from people of different ideological dispositions, people from different geographic areas, people from different backgrounds. And I was really, really hoping that this would be a unity ticket and we would not have to go through a primary process. And the reason for that is not any sort of, trying to cook it as a party boss or something. It's the simple reality that in New York State,
it's an uphill battle anyway.
We're outmanned as far as voters. There are more Democrats than Republicans. So the Democrats can play games. They can, have infighting and then still win elections. We need to really be on our game. And we've got a person who has higher name ID than anybody that's ever run getting in the race. And this is
like her spokesperson said, a once in a generation or once in decades opportunity for Republicans.
This is no negative to any of our previous governor nominees who I have a good relationship with every single one over the last several of them. But when they got in the race, outside of where they were from, they weren't very well known. For the last 6 months, wherever I go, people are like, is she going to do it? Is she going to do it? Is she going to do it? So people know who she is. We're not. She's from the North Country. I'm from the Southern Tier. We're from a different spot in the state, and people still know who she is. She's got an enormous fundraising apparatus. She's sitting on a ton of cash. She's somebody that, again, all chunks of the party can live with.
I know.
I don't know why we're doing this.
Why we're even talking.
Yeah,
about and I also have a problem, Joe, because you're in public service and you work hard for your votes and you earn your votes.
Yeah.
So if I go out and earn that honor of getting your vote when I run for office, and then you say, "Yep, here's my vote, here's my support. I'm working the phones for you. I'm doing whatever," and then as hours after you win, you say, "I don't want this job anymore."
Yeah, I want to forget it.
I'm gonna run. But and I know, and then it's also the kind of, for lack of a better term, double dipping aspect of he can still have that job if he loses.
That's right. Because it's an odd year cycle.
But yeah, she has to give up a seat that she could hold.
Correct.
Darn near in perpetuity.
And this is the second time. She's done a couple things that are for the good of the party, where she was going to be in the cabinet in the UN, and clearly there was going to be some problems as far as the House majority with that, and she was willing to step back for the good of the country, for the good of the party.
Which it was so late they lost her leadership
level. That's right. It's just she's in a different leadership position than she was, and now she's willing to step up and run. And this is not like you're running for governor in a super red state where it's the obvious sort of next step, and whoever's the Republican nominee is going to get it. This is
we were nervous that she wasn't going to.
That's right. This is a serious race that she's doing for the good of the state of New York. And I've been very public with my support of Congresswoman Stefanik for the Republican nomination. She needs to be our nominee. We have to break the one-party control in Albany. She gives us the best chance to do it. I was saying last night when we were at the committee meeting, and by the way, the Republican committee in Steuben County, we had a meeting last night on some other things, and we did an endorsement. Our committee unanimously endorsed Elise. And, just practical things.
Think of even when you mentioned her name and
brought that
that's
all,
the whole place.
Yeah. So I said, we're going to do an endorsement. We got to decide, and it's a committee vote. It's not my vote, but I let people know what I had done personally.
Yeah.
And everybody was. I heard one person yell like, "Good!"
Yeah,
it was sort of a rabble. Yeah. I think I would have been thrown out of the building if I had not endorsed what I endorsed, which was a great thing. And so it was unanimous, but just very practical, getting down to brass tacks. Think of what, myself, Mr. Palmisano, Mr. O'Mara, Ms. Bailey, Mr. Friend, if we had a partner in the executive, us as your legislative representatives, how much more we could do for the Southern Tier and for the Finger Lakes region, and having somebody that's, working with us as opposed to working against us. This is the future of the state of New York, and we need to be unified. My hope is that hopefully we get to the convention and Mr. Blakeman doesn't have enough support.
Because what happens next? So if he doesn't get the support from the chair, then he has to go out and get the signatures?
Yeah, so that is correct. Yeah, so for statewide office, it's a little different than local office. So for myself, it's a petition process. I put petitions on the street, and I get a requisite number of signatures. Then I'm on the ballot. If anybody else gets those signatures, they would be on the ballot either in a primary or in the general election or what have you. So for statewide office, there's two mechanisms. And one is a convention. There will be a convention that will happen in late February. The state Republican committee will meet, and everybody has a weighted vote based on the strength of the Republican Party in their district area. And if you get more than 25% of the weighted vote, then you are automatically on the ballot for the primary. If you get more than 50%, you are the designee. So you're sort of the official candidate, but there's no sort of more, it doesn't freeze out the primary in any way. So obviously if you get above 75%, then you preclude anyone from getting on through the convention. And Elise is like, she's already, I think, above that or right on it or whatever. And if you fail to get 25% of the weighted vote, the convention happens just prior to the normal petition window, and then you can petition to get on the ballot that way. So if you are told no at the convention, you can then petition. So my hope is that sometime between now and the end of the convention, cooler heads prevail. We realize this isn't what we need to be doing, and Mr. Blakeman decides not to run. And I certainly hope if he doesn't get 25% of the convention that he doesn't petition.
But I'm jaded because I think if you look at the polls now, he should know that he has no chance anyway. Because if you look at it now, granted the poll was done before Lawler even dropped out,
right?
But he was losing to Lawler.
Well, right, and remember, this is something where, and I love Mike and I get along with Mike, but even Mike's a great member of Congress, but Elise's rating average is even higher. So this is something where, again, I don't know really what he's thinking, and I think it's not in the best interest of the Republican Party to have a primary. I think we need to unify behind Congresswoman Stefanik, and I think if we can achieve that sometime, hopefully as soon as possible, we will have the best chance to win in November of 26, which is what this is all about. It's about winning the governor's race. And this is not a development that I was hoping would happen. And this is something where, again, I reaffirmed my support for Elise as soon as we left the meeting last night. I texted her campaign staff saying, hey, just so you know, my whole committee. And I had called them the day after, the announcement from the Nassau County Executive, and I had reaffirmed that I had been getting calls from Republican committee people. They wanted her to come to Steuben County. They don't understand why there's a primary. So certainly in Steuben County, and I think I can speak broadly for all of upstate, and actually really even the city, very much unity for Ms. Stefanik.
We got to take a break, but it is interesting because this is the first time in a long time where people are fired up over what is normally a topic that maybe you and I would discuss, and, kind of maybe a little bit on the show. People are mad.
Yeah. Because they know that she's got a real chance to win.
And I don't understand what this does for him in the long run or but anyway, let's take a break. We'll talk a little bit more about Blakeman. We can't, trust me, I'd spend the whole hour on it, but we're not going to do that. Stay with us. Keep your questions, keep your comments coming in. We'll be right back. We are back, broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio here on Market Street in Corning. And in the Hesselson studio, we have Assemblyman Joe Sempolinski. All right, Joe, we got a couple comments from viewers. When a candidate wins an election for county executive and then immediately decides to run for state office, his loyalty to the taxpayers must be questioned.
That's true, yeah, because he could have said, hey, I'm not going to run for re-election, because I want to run for state office, that sort of thing. So, yeah, that raises those questions. But also, then just practically, his funds are depleted. Like, it's not like he's sitting on a big war chest.
And she's building
up more time. She's good at
that.
She will be the best funded Republican candidate statewide of the last 2 generations.
Yep. All right. Comment from a different viewer. They need to follow the money and see who's backing him against Stefanik. Comment from a different viewer. Joe, what are the odds of Bruce Blakeman stepping down and getting out of the primary, especially after Trump is against it?
I think it's possible. Mm-hmm. I mean, I think the viewer is astute. As your viewers all are, that the president has a big role to play here. Mm-hmm. And like I said, the president's a good guy. The president's, got 2 friends here, and he's clearly in a tough position. I'm just saying what the president has said. But I think if the president definitively said, Elise is the candidate, that might have certainly an impact on Mr. Blakeman's calculations. Like I said, we're not to the convention yet. He is not on the ballot yet. Nobody can be on the ballot until late February, so there is still hopefully time. But I knew he was looking at it. I knew he was poking around, and then when he actually said, "I am running,"
that's when it got
that's a definitive change from, "Hey, I'm feeling it out." Mm-hmm. And when he was in the "I'm feeling it out" mode, I was very hopeful that maybe he'll feel it out, realize this isn't going to work out, and then
get a little attention and have a little fun with it,
not do it, and what is frustrating is there was the possibility, there was the escape hatch of put him on the ticket somewhere else, like lieutenant governor. Yeah. And I don't think that escape hatch exists anymore.
No,
I don't know. I mean, that's
so
maybe, who knows? But that's going to be certainly a lot tougher thing now. So this is unnecessary. And what's also frustrating a lot of people in sort of the party leadership is we went through this 4 years ago, where there was very broad consensus around then Congressman Lee Zeldin.
Yes.
And we had a 4-way primary. And I myself personally, I remember explicitly one of the candidates, there were 3 other candidates saying, why are we doing this? Yeah. And so, again, I'm not want to personally bash anybody, but this is the second cycle in a row where we've had people who nobody wants to be number 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 on the ticket. They all want to be number 1. And well, guess what? When you have a consensus, 4 years ago we had a consensus around Mr. Zeldin. This time we have a consensus around Ms. Stefanik. We have a consensus, and people are still willing to at least have a discussion about other slots on the ticket. Why are we forcing primaries for the top slot?
I know. And it's not a knock necessarily on anybody specific. It's just, it seems like this is what we do as New York Republicans.
Yeah.
That's what makes it so frustrating.
Frustrated is a good word. Yeah. I think that was my reaction when it became clear that he was actually going to announce. Frustration would be my main reaction.
Ken writes in, does Joe know if Blakeman can return to his executive position if he doesn't win the primary governor seat? We talked about this, Ken?
Yeah, he was just reelected. He hasn't even started his second term yet.
Yeah.
His second term doesn't start until January. He's still in the end of his first term. So if he is not elected or nominated to an office, he's got 3 because of the even year election law. He was elected to a 3-year term, not a 4-year term. Yeah. We can get into all that, but he for calendar years 26, 27, 28, he's the Nassau County executive.
So he's in the captain seat in that scenario, and then you've got Stefanik again, who's
giving up a congressional seat,
congressional seat that could be
a safe congressional
seat.
She could be in, if she wanted to. Yeah, she could be in that seat for the next 50 years.
Yeah, exactly. And yet she gave that up for the good of the state. Yes. When Blakeman's giving up nothing.
Yes.
I don't want to beat a dead horse. I will say if he gets a nomination, I got a lot of explaining to do.
Let's put it this way. I will reiterate my statement that my friend Elise Stefanik so graciously shared on her social media. Elise Stefanik will be the Republican nominee for governor. It's just the question is how much of baloney do we have to get through?
Well, that's it. And that's why I say that jokingly because, Now, let me ask you, Joe, because I was looking through my list of people that I'd interviewed in the past, and because I was on here saying, I don't even know who Bruce Blakeman is. And then it turns out I interviewed him. And it was for United States.
Well, that's just because you interview everyone.
I have a lot of people on that list. Pete Hegseth. Did I tell you that?
You interviewed Hegseth?
I didn't realize it. I look at Facebook memories and it said interviewing Pete Hegseth about his new book. It was when he was still on Fox.
Oh. Well, and of course, the President Trump interview.
President Trump. Yeah. So now I got Hegseth for president. I got to go through that list again.
The path to power.
Look at me, Pat.
Is the Hesselson studio on Market Street.
I could not agree more. Yeah. But I was looking at it, and it said at that point, running for Senate.
Yes.
So what's his, I guess, resume when it comes to running like that?
So he's run for a lot of different.
Okay.
This isn't his first time doing that.
Okay, that's what I kind of assumed.
So he put some context for the folks in TV land who I'm sure already know about the 1998 New York State Controller election.
Oh yes, of course. Who doesn't?
Yeah. So. Mr. Blakeman.
I thought they were going to make a movie out
of it. Right. Yeah. Mr. Blakeman was the Republican nominee for state controller in 1998.
Okay.
And you may recall, I think they probably will recall this, in 1998, Governor Pataki was reelected. So the Republican nominee for governor, who was the sitting governor, won.
Okay.
Mr. Blakeman was on that ticket. And he lost by over 30 points.
Wow. That says a
lot.
On
the same ticket with a winning governor candidate.
Wow.
Yes.
That speaks volumes.
So there you go. Yeah. And then in the context of the interview that you did with him, that would have been in the 2010 U.S. Senate race.
Right.
And there was a three-way primary.
Okay.
And Mr. Blakeman came in third.
Okay.
In a three-way primary. And after that, he ran for U.S. Congress.
Okay.
And lost.
Okay.
He had been elected to the town board and the county legislature in Nassau County. That's what he had. Oh, I forgot. In between there, he very briefly ran for mayor of New York City.
Okay.
That only lasted a few weeks. That didn't get anywhere. Anyway, didn't get on the ballot. And then he was elected county executive 4 years ago and was reelected. So as far as Nassau stuff, he's been fairly successful. But every time he's attempted to move up, it has been extraordinarily unsuccessful over a very long period of time. And so, this is not the first time this has played out for Mr. Blakeman.
That's a trajectory. That's interesting.
Yeah.
I knew I had to interview him for a reason. But we don't have to talk about Blakeman because I realized that the last time we spoke, I got you in one of those weird times right before the election.
Yeah. Right.
Because we wanted to talk about the race. So we haven't really talked about it. What did you think overall about the local races? And then we'll get into some other.
Yeah, I mean, I'll talk about one race in particular. I was very pleased Justin Everlin won in the town of Corning.
He worked hard.
And his opponent worked hard.
Yes.
That was a legitimate race. That's Hornby, Town of Caton, Town of Corning. It's not the city, but it's all the areas surrounding the city. And he's a worker. And especially he had a disadvantage where he's the Hornby town supervisor, which is the smallest of those three towns.
Right.
Love Hornby, shout out to Hornby, but it is the smallest of those three towns. And so he's not coming from the population center of the district, and he just ground it out. I remember distinctly one phone call. I called him 2-3 days before the election. It's like the Saturday, I think, before the election. And just want to check in, and he's like, "Oh, I'm knocking on doors." Like he wanted me to leave me alone. I'm knocking on doors. I'm like, "Good, that's the best possible answer."
Well, and he didn't, and he wasn't one of the candidates who waited till Labor Day. He worked the whole once the primary was over, and before the primary, but he worked the whole summer.
And he was one where if you gave him advice, you should focus on this, focus on that, he would then take it, do it, and then go even above and beyond. So the fact that that he won in a race where again the Democratic nominee hustled. He worked hard.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say that before the election. I can say it after. But he was working. And so this is one where you had two candidates that were really hustling, and we were able to hold that seat in a contested race. So I was very pleased about that.
That's good. So we better take a short break. Keep those comments. We can keep talking about Blakeman if you want. We're just going to move on here for a little bit. So stay with us. We'll be right back with Frankly Speaking after this. Welcome back to Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV Big Fox. I'm your host, Frank Acomb. We are broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio. In that studio, Joe Sempolinski. Joe, comment from a viewer. Good morning, Frank, and good morning, Joe Sempolinski.
Good morning.
Please wish a Merry Christmas to him and his family.
Oh, Merry Christmas to you and everybody out there. And my kids are 6 and 7, and they
hyped
since the morning after Halloween. They've been hyped.
Oh, I'm sure.
Yeah, so
I'm sure. Oh, hey, I forgot to ask you, how'd the town hall go?
Good. Yeah, we do. Senator O'Mara and I did a town hall.
We promoted it. It was a little out of our...
I appreciate that. We were in Rexville.
Yeah.
Which is a wonderful community in the very southwestern corner of Steuben County, town of West Union, the hamlet of Rexville, south of Canisteo and Greenwood. And obviously the Canisteo, Greenwood, Jasper, Rexville, Troopsburg area is where I represent in Steuben County, and it's been an area that's had some flooding issues over the last several years. And so the town supervisor reached out to myself and Mr. O'Mara, and he said, hey, can you come out and do a community meeting and just be there to take questions? And so we came out, and folks from the county emergency response came out, folks from Soil and Water, folks from State DOT, State DEC, we got them all there. And we had folks from not only Rexville but surrounding towns, and actually some folks from Allegheny County. And we had a wonderful town hall meeting. I love doing those. And when we do town hall meetings in that part of the world, I did one in Canisteo about 6 months ago, and the flooding issues tend to be the dominant conversation. We knew that would be the case. But kudos to Senator O'Mara, who was great to work with, and it was great to do the team aspect with him. It's always a lot easier and more fun when you've got a good teammate there at the town hall meeting. And I know just prior to that, he'd done the same thing with Phil Palmisano up in Seneca County. And so we have just a wonderful team. I can't speak highly enough about Senator O'Mara and his staff and the job they do. And Phil Palmisano and Chris Friend and Andrea Bailey, the other folks that are in the Elmira media market that you may be in their district watching this fine program. And having a team like that is really cool. And especially Phil and Tom and Chris, who I've known for a long time. Andrea's a freshman like me. I've known and worked with them in all my other capacities over the years, but then actually getting to see what they do on the other side in Albany up close. We've got some really just good folks that are working for people here.
I think it's great. And speaking of the state level, and I know you saw this when we were talking about Blakeman, we were talking about Stefanik, but I love Stefanik, who's been really going after Hochul, doing a great job.
Yeah.
And I love,
worst governor in America.
I know. And she says we're the least affordable state, and Hochul's response is, no, we're 45th.
I did see that. And that sort of shows where we're at in this election, right?
Yeah.
And this is why I think there's some frustration, because people know that's what's going to be coming back at us is this sort of silliness.
Yeah.
The Democratic apparatus in the state is not used to dealing with a Republican that's on their level as far as resources and on their level as far as communication, and that is the perfect example of I guess would be not an unforced error but a forced error.
Yeah.
Where Elise puts her in this position where she's got to respond, and you're now going to brag that you're we're actually 45th.
We're 45th.
On
nice try, Stefanik.
Okay. So now all you're doing is highlighting the fact that it's an unaffordable place to live. The economy is not working out right, and is under unified Democrat control. So if you're going to suddenly start bragging about these silly things, that just shows that's going to be repeated in a variety of different policy areas over the course of this campaign, where I think Elise Stefanik can dance circles around Kathy Hochul.
I almost think Stefanik should have went back in on her tweet and put correction. Governor Hochul informs me that we're 45th.
I think she did sort of post that. I saw some of her staff posts. Yeah,
she's doing great with it.
She's very good. Yeah,
but I just can't. Governor Hochul, I know I've said it a million times with you on the program, but I've said it on just in general. You can tell that she was never supposed to be governor.
Yeah, she's uncomfortable in that position.
She's uncomfortable.
She's not sort of naturally.
But she wants to be a power broker. She wants to be a kingmaker. And when Nancy Pelosi yells at you after the last time saying you did a bad job, you're not going to be a kingmaker.
And for that one, it was a convention speech. They load it in the teleprompter and you read it. That's a low degree of difficulty thing.
Yeah, she doesn't have it.
It's not like, frankly speaking, I have no teleprompter.
No teleprompter.
We have no net
off the cuff. Yeah, everything. Much to the viewers' dismay.
That's right. I could say anything.
Yeah, please don't. That's why I got nervous when I talked about Blakeman. I was worried about myself. And the sad thing is people feel the same way. But I don't want to go back in that. Hey, what do you think? We talk about the media's coverage so much. So we had 4 years, a couple of years you were on the program, and we talked about, boy, it seems like not everything's okay with Joe Biden, right? And of course, history proved us right. Yeah. Now we have a kind of a segment on the program at least once a week, more than once a week. There's an article questioning Trump's health. And now, I don't know if you watched the rally, This is a true story.
Yeah.
I'm watching his Pennsylvania rally, what it was the other day.
Right.
And we know his schedule before the rally was
yeah.
busy.
Yeah,
We know the rally, and, he lives for those rallies.
Right.
I fell asleep before the end of the rally because I was so
And he's still
exhausted
going.
from the day.
Yeah.
And he's still going.
Yeah. So I think that is, they got caught, and one of the patented moves from the left is accuse the right of what you're doing.
Exactly.
And we see that a lot. And so they despicably, were complicit, the media and the Democratic Party in, attacking people. Remember cheap fakes?
Yeah,
They're
right.
saying,
Yeah.
If he's stumbling or bumbling or whatever, that's a cheap fake.
Yep, exactly.
And that was the narrative the week before the debate.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That it was all fake, whatever. And then
that blew up.
Suddenly the man behind the curtain is revealed.
Yes.
And what have you. And so their simplistic mindset is, well, that worked for the Republicans, so we're going to do the same thing. Well, yeah, it worked because it was the truth as far as Biden is concerned.
It wasn't
and
a
it's
trick.
Not the truth as far as Trump is concerned.
Exactly.
So, so that's a bunch of hogwash. The president is by all observations, is in no way in the same situation that
Not even
Biden
close.
was, because the president is out and about, taking questions and doing things. And remember how tough it was to get a microphone in front of Joe Biden for years on end. It's night and day.
It's a joke. And so out of one side of their mouth, they'll say that he's not healthy, he's tired all the time. On the other side, they're saying journalists are complaining because he keeps them so busy on Air Force One, constantly answering questions. So they don't even want that gig because they're going to be too tired to deal with him.
Day. Yeah, because he goes all day. Yeah. And so, this is one of these. They throw these narratives against the wall if they've seen them stick elsewhere, and they don't think about why they stuck. They don't think about the context. Right. The one that pops to mind is the weird.
Yeah.
Who's weirder than the governor of Minnesota? Really? That's a weird dude.
And we're seeing that now. Yeah.
And they were trying to make, frankly, one of the more normal people in national politics, Mr. Vance.
Yeah, that's a great point.
Suddenly he, come on. So they just throw these things out there.
No, that's exactly the case. So, but wow, we could talk about Walls, Minnesota. What's going on there?
Yeah.
Yikes.
Where's the money going? That's a lot of fraud happening.
That's a lot of fraud.
Yeah.
It's all done for kind of that.
What I find perplexing, and I haven't quite figured it out, is the population of Somali immigrants in the Somali community in Minnesota is not enormous. It's not millions of people in Minnesota. It's tens of thousands. And yet it seems like the entire Democratic Party apparatus in Minnesota is terrified of any sort of conflict with that community.
That's a great point.
And I don't quite understand that. Just the math doesn't make a lot of sense. There's a lot of other ethnic groups that are much larger, and yet there seems to be this sort of dominant force in Minnesota politics. So maybe it's just I don't know enough about Minnesota politics, but just the demographic math doesn't work in my head. So just a thought out there. I don't know.
And I don't know how much we're going to learn about this. I mean, people always ask me, "Are how's it going to roll?" Or people, it never. Again, using the word jaded again, it never seems like we get as much of an answer as we want.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. And it's frustrating because we're talking about taxpayer money. And one of the things that we hope for is that when we pay our taxes, that that money is used in the public interest in an efficient way. And it certainly seems like that was not the case in Minnesota. Yeah,
we're jumping all around this morning. I see a piece at Empire Report. Your thoughts on this? On politics, Chuck Schumer's era of dominance is over.
Yes, that's probably
It's got to be almost like a Biden scenario where Biden was loyal to the Democrat Party 50 plus years.
Yeah.
And then they turn out, right?
Yeah.
And pretty quickly, and rightfully so. I mean,
right. As we were discussing,
yes.
Yeah,
but then
the elevator didn't go all the way to the top.
Exactly. But you've got to say, well, I've dedicated and taken a lot of hits for this party for 50 years. Chuck Schumer's got to feel the same kind of thing. That so I worked with. Not even worked. I just kept the government open one time, and now that was the beginning of the end.
Yeah.
But he's really bad at handling the Trump era politics.
I think there's a couple things going on. I think the Democratic Party has become very radicalized, and it has also there's a generational issue. So you have a party that's moved more to the left, even to the left, considering. I mean, compared Chuck Schumer to Zoran Mamdani.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
Zoran Mamdani makes Chuck Schumer look like a moderate, and Chuck Schumer is no
moderate. Yeah.
Again, put it in context, Mamdani was an outcast in Albany among New York City Democrats for being too liberal. So this is a party that has shifted, especially in New York State, especially in New York City, where Chuck's from, hard to the left. And then you just have also, Father Time catches up with everybody, where, there's a lot of appetite in the Democratic Party because of the Biden fiasco for generational change. And then, is he out of touch with some of their other policy issues? So I think we're probably in Chuck's last term.
Yeah.
He's not up for re-election in 26. He's up in 28.
Yeah.
I think one of two things is going to happen. I think either he sees the writing on the wall and declines to run for re-election, or he loses the primary, probably to AOC.
I think he's got to step aside. You don't want the bookends to be, the end of your career to be losing a primary.
Losing to AOC.
Yeah, to have that kind of power for that long, and then. But you're
right.
And
then a little thought: if, let's say, AOC is the nominee of the Democratic Party for the U.S. Senate in 2028, which is quite even probable at this point. How much of an opening does that present for the Republicans?
That's great.
Because you're going to have a situation where the Democrats have gone too far to the left, just as Zoran Mamdani has opened up an opportunity that I hope we don't squander for Elise Stefanik, because you're going to have outer borough Democrats and moderate suburban voters downstate going, the Democratic Party of Zoran Mamdani is not what I signed up for.
Right.
If you have someone as radical as AOC at the top of the ticket statewide, other than the presidency, but in the U.S. Senate slot in 28, that presents a great opportunity for a Republican to run and maybe win a U.S. Senate seat,
right? And
running as the more reasonable candidate. So there's self-correcting mechanisms, and the self-correcting mechanism is vote for the Republican Party.
It always works.
Yeah, that's right.
Do you think
you never go wrong if you vote Roe v. Yeah, that's right.
Do you think that Hochul's concerned about a Democrat Socialist of America primarying her?
She should be.
Yeah, right?
She should be.
Seems it.
Yeah, it seems like, right now she's got the lieutenant governor running against her in a primary.
Right, her own lieutenant governor.
But I think she should be concerned. She's in a pickle.
Yeah.
As far as, does she pivot to the left or pivot to the right? Because she's got a very formidable general election, but she's got to get there.
Yeah.
And she's certainly got a primary in June. It's just a question of how many people jump in and who jumps in and who gets traction. But she's got problems coming and going.
Yeah, and back to your point about Schumer and kind of the new guard coming in, there seems to be a lot of that. I mean, I think it's one of the reasons why Cuomo actually did so bad. I mean, he ran a bad campaign.
Yeah.
But I think it's that I equate it to the Republican, completely different politics-wise. But remember when we kept being told that the only way we can win is McCain or Romney or whoever it is, and we kept losing. And then it was right around the time Trump comes down. They said, "Oh, he's a joke. There's not a chance. The only way you can win is Jeb Bush." And I think that's when a lot of Republicans threw up their hands and said, "Okay, you keep telling us this. It's not." My gut tells me that's not a winner.
Right.
We're going to go with the
especially
outside
after Romney loses and McCain loses.
Yeah.
And whatever.
Yeah. So I think that kind of made people go, "Okay, we'll go outside the box." So there's a little bit there.
I think the analysis that I just presented regarding Schumer applies to Cuomo as well.
Yeah.
Generational and policy wise, and plus he's just got his own personal issues where it was very difficult. If it had been Andrew Smith, as the alternative to Mamdani, random person X out of the, I was going to say phone book. We don't have phone books anymore. Yeah. But random person X, it might have been easier to coalesce people around them as an alternative to Mamdani, but it was really tough to get people to be like, oh, is he really better or is he just different? Is he just awful in a different way? So and it turned out Mamdani broke 50% anyway, so it wouldn't have mattered.
No.
So Sliwa was not a spoiler.
No, he wasn't at all. Yeah. And I like how Cuomo's still going around. I don't want to talk about him, but he keeps going around saying that Sliwa.
He's still also poking around, and there's talk about, is he going to run for something?
Third party.
Yeah, maybe he primaries Hochul. I don't know.
Primary Hochul, go third party.
Yeah, right. Yeah, yes. Oh, that'd be wonderful. Yeah, right. Yeah.
Cut out the middleman. You don't need another primary,
right.
Andrew.
Recruit 2 or 3 other people to run.
If you don't mind. Yeah. But there's so many things going on. We better take a short break and regroup. Stay with us. We'll be right back with Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV. Big Fox. We are back. The Frankly Speaking Roof Cam brought to you by Boss Security in Horseheads. Contact them today for all your business and home security needs. Joining us in the Hesselson studio, Assemblyman Joe Sempolinski. Joe, we didn't even talk off air what we should talk about next. I think the Venezuela is really interesting how Trump can make people like paint themselves into a corner where they're like, no, that drug dealer.
Are you saying, talking about how the Democratic Party is lined up in support of narco terrorists?
Yes.
I mean, feel however you feel about blowing somebody up in international waters, but this is the conversation we're going to have. That you're going to say, no,
how dare you?
Don't blow up narco terrorists. Like Trump is, to your point, the master of sort of the 80-20 issue, where he finds an issue where either the Democratic base sort of has a visceral dislike to it ideologically, or but the middle of the road voter is clearly on Trump's side, and even moderate Democrats on most of these issues, because they're 80-20 issues. They're not 60-40 issues.
Right.
And he gets them just because there's such a reflex in the Democratic Party to, if Trump is for it, it must be bad.
Right.
Right. Renovating the White House, or some of the stuff with girls' sports or whatever. You can talk about mundane things, whatever. And again, I'm not even making a commentary on any of the issues themselves.
Fonts. You forgot fonts.
Fonts, right? Yeah, Times New Roman. Times New Roman. Any of these things, and he's a political master because the other side can't help themselves. They take the bait.
Knee-jerk,
And the man commands attention in a way that the left can't help themselves. And every time the left takes the bait like this, it just makes Trump more popular.
Yeah.
So having a discussion about the international law, such as international law actually exists, which whatever, but the optics, I'm talking about from a raw political standpoint. You have tricked the Democratic Party into being like narco terrorists.
Yeah, did you say
don't shoot the narco terrorists is the Democratic Party position. And again, we can talk about the vagaries of international law, but is that statement, don't shoot narco terrorists, a winning political proposition? I think and even go so far as if you we have the senator from Arizona implying going after service people,
right?
Like rank and file soldiers. If the Democrats take over, it's like we've had so much of Trump talking about lawfare and what have you, and they're explicitly saying when we take power, we're going to come after you. For killing narco terrorists, American soldier.
Yeah, I know.
Like,
that's the side you want to be in.
What political thought makes you think that is a smart political statement to make?
Did you see, and Babylon Bee, if people aren't familiar, it's a satirical website.
Very funny.
It's very funny. Their headline was, Democrats poll numbers surging among key narco-terrorist demographic. I mean, but that, in a nutshell, that's why they are pretty brilliant on there, because they kind of boil it down to the nitty-gritty. All right, we got to get ready to wrap up. Hey, by the way, do you think blue states staying blue is a bellwether for the midterms?
No.
Okay.
No. And as somebody who has competed in and won a U.S. House special election, I can speak definitively that all special elections have their own quirky context, and the turnout is very low. So, while it's a piece of information, and we should take the midterms very seriously, and not take anything for granted, and that's a complacency that sometimes happens when your party is in control. A direct straight line projection from special elections or local elections in an off year to next year is I would take that with a grain of salt.
Yep. We got to take our last break. Get your last minute questions and comments in, and we'll be right back. The Frankly Speaking Roof Cam, brought to you by Boss Security in Horseheads. Contact them today for all your business and home security needs. We had Joe Sempolinski in the studio, the Hesselson studio. So we're going to get ready to wrap up today's edition. It's hard to believe that went very quickly. We covered a lot. So when you look forward to next year, 2026, because this is the last time we'll speak in this year, and Merry Christmas, Happy New Year.
Merry Christmas.
But what are you looking forward to next year?
I mean, other than the Bills winning the Super Bowl.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll start with that early in the year. Once Josh Allen takes us to the promised land, we'll have some political stuff. I think it probably happens after that. So obviously, we've talked about the governor's race. That's huge. We're going to have Attorney General. We're going to have Controller. So it's going to be a big statewide year. I was just on the phone last night with Michael Henry, our candidate for Attorney General. Great guy. I talk to him a couple, 2, 3, 4 times a week. Locally, like I said, we got a great team, and I'm excited about running with my teammates again. Tom O'Mara, Phil Palmisano, Nick Langworthy, Chris Friend, Andrew Bailey. So keeping that team reelected and in office will be good. At the county level, Stu Ben, we got a coroner race.
Oh, okay.
So.
It seems like we always have a coroner
race.
race.
There's 4 coroners. So almost every year there's a coroner race. So there isn't a ton at the county level, but we are part of a much bigger whole in a governor year, which is the statewide ticket. So I think the statewide race is gonna dominate. I think all of our local state legislators and congressional. Claudia Tenney also has a part of the media market. We just put out an endorsement for her.
I saw that. Yeah,
county chairman. She's fantastic. So I think everybody at the locally, federal, and state legislative level will do very well, and will be very focused on Governor Lee Stefanik being elected. And
I know that a lot of people want to get involved, and what a perfect time to get involved with the Republican Party if they want to, because once Christmas is over, New Year's over, it's petition season.
Oh, the petitions are so early now. We used to do them in June, and every year at this point, you're like, oh, we are starting.
I'm sure
they start in
calls.
February.
Yeah,
they start in February, and I've already. I had an election commissioner. The election commissioner of Cattaraugus County, she texted me, it was like already about getting my physical petition done up. And I'm like, I don't even want to think about that right now. But that is the perfect time to get involved, because we always need people to do petitions. Countywide officials need 1,000 signatures. It's an enormous amount. Many hands make light work. So, email me, joe.sempolinski@gmail.com if you want to get involved. And I've had people do that where they just reach out, they email me, they Facebook message me, and we get them involved. And we're always looking for new blood on the Republican committee. And if any of those people that I mentioned, statewide or locally, is somebody that really gets you excited, whether it's Elise or anybody else on the team, this is the perfect time to get involved, because you can be part of saving the state of New York.
Yeah, and the thing is, if you're thinking about running, which there's not anything really local to run for, it's not fair to the candidate. You have to decide in February.
It is early.
February for a November race.
That's what's so. So you got to the petitions start in February. They are filed in early April, and then the election's not until November, barring a primary.
And that lag time is. I mean, you should be out working, but it's a long time because you don't know, especially at local races. Is there going to be a challenger?
Yeah.
Is it going to be?
With town stuff, because they have the caucus system for some of the towns. Yeah,
so you keep checking.
I think it's too early. I would happily move that to a slightly later date.
Well, even talking to Democrats, we interviewed quite a few on the show, they don't sound that against it either. I don't think, unless you're in the city, I suppose.
Yeah,
you don't really care. But I don't think anybody really.
It's a bad calendar. Yeah. We should not be having primaries in June and petitions this early.
No, absolutely. Comment from a viewer: where can we get Elise Stefanik yard signs?
Everybody is excited about the yard signs all the time. It's a little early for yard signs. When
you can't even get into the ground.
That's right. When we get them, we'll do what we always do. We're one of the most. I think in the 2020 election, we moved more Trump yard signs than anywhere else in the state out of Hornell. And once we get them, we'll make them available. And assuming. There is a primary. I'm sure the signs will be earlier because we'll have to have them for the primary as well as the general.
Which is money that was unnecessarily spent.
Thank you very much. There we go.
That you could have used on your make the yard signs. So
Frank gets it.
I get it.
Bruce don't get it. Frank
does not get it. Like I said, we'll talk about it more off the air. Well, Joe, thanks for giving us so much time this morning. I hope you have a great Christmas. You got any big plans?
I have a 6-year-old and a 7-year-old, my 2 daughters, and they
is Santa ready?
Santa is ready. By Santa, that's Mrs. Sempolinski. So they are very excited. So we should have they're in the exact right age to have a wonderful family Christmas. I'm very much looking forward to it.
And like you said, there's so many events in our area that you can take them to and get them, even more in the Christmas spirit.
Yeah,
so they're not sleeping at night. They're
amped up, and they were amped up weeks before Thanksgiving. They're ready.
They're like you in primary season.
That's right.
Can't sleep.
It's the most wonderful time of the year.
Exactly. Well, that does it for today's edition of Frankly Speaking. Thank you to everybody who joined us. Join us tomorrow morning starting 6 a.m. for Frankly Speaking, only on WYDC TV. Big Fox. Look forward to it already.